Good evening, everyone that is watching on JCTV Africa and on Gambakwe Media. Thank you so much to everyone that is joining us live, and you are also welcome to be part of this conversation where we talk about issues that are happening in and around Zimbabwe. Thank you so much for being part of this conversation. You are also welcome to watch on JCTV Africa and this live broadcast will be also rebroadcasted on other platforms, which Zim Social Network and also on Gambakwe Media and Zim Elections. Today we are talking about the 2023 elections, and the 2023 elections are upon us. We are given a date, 23 August, by the president. It was declared last week. But before we do that, before we get into the 2023 election, we want to find out what went wrong in the 2018 elections that we had, and what are the mistakes that the opposition or even the ruling party can draw from the 2018 elections. And I've been, I'm a political analyst, and I've been talking about this. And one of the videos that we posted 2 weeks back, we're talking about what could have gone wrong or right in the 2018 elections. And my guest today, who is going to talk about the 2018 elections, what went wrong, and what I also challenged him on my profile is is not a novice in the political space. He is actually Mr. Douglas Mwonzora. We're going to get into his conversation now. But before I do that, I want you to be part of this conversation, and you can send us your questions to Mr. Douglas Mwonzora on our WhatsApp platform. The numbers, I'm going to put them on the screen. It's +2777363822064, so that you can also fire in some questions to him, or you have a contribution that you want to make. You are also welcome to do that. So the man that I'm going to introduce to you, as I said, he is not a novice in the political space of Zimbabwe. He has been on the political field quite some time. And let me just read his profile here. Okay, just hold on. Okay, to open. All right. Mr. Mwonzora has been in the political space since 1989, if I recall correctly. He has worked with the late Reverend Abel Mozorewa. He also worked with Margaret Dongo of Zoom. He was jailed by ZANU-PF government under Robert Mugabe when he was an activist, and he was jailed. He went to Wawa prison when he was contesting about a one-party state, because by then ZANU-PF and ZAPU had joined forces, and it was now a one-party state. Mr. Mwonzora has served in the National Constitutional Assembly, which he is a founding member, which is a civil organization which consisted of the late Morgan Tsvangirai, Labo Maduk, among others. He has served as the Secretary General of the MDC since 2014, after defeating Nelson CHAMISA in the Congress. He was also appointed the COPAC chair with Paul Mangwana of ZANU-PF in drafting of the constitutional amendment of 2013. He is the current president of the MDC-T, a lawyer by profession and international legal consultant who has helped countries like Gambia after the ouster of Yahya Jammeh. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mr. Douglas Togarase Mwonzora. Welcome to the show, sir.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Osike, and I want to thank JC TV Africa for affording me an opportunity to reply to what I thought was not fair assessment of what happened. And I don't take this for granted. Often newsrooms make publications and never afford people the right to reply. And I'm very, very happy, and I want to respect this gesture that you have shown. And I hope that other people will follow suit. So thank you very much for inviting me to this show.
All right. Let's dive into that conversation, Mr. Mwonzora. And we are looking at what happened in 2018. And as you have said in your conversation, that you felt that we unfairly judged you after we watched the documentary that was released, the president, for Nelson Chamisa, and you felt that we harshly judged you when we said that you might have misled Nelson Chamisa into going into election, which he knew he wasn't going to win. What is your stance? Because you said that we did not. It was a unanimous decision that was made between the MDC alliance leadership. Then, what did we miss in that conversation?
Oh, thank you very much. First of all, it is not true that Nelson Chamisa did not expect to win that election. He expected to win the election. He was confident of winning the election. But also, both Nelson Chamisa and myself were recipients of intelligence from the MDC intelligence. At that time, the system was that the intelligence was shared, given to the Secretary General as well as the president of the party. And he was very much in the know of things that we had been fed on. First of all, that the MDC was going to win about 6 out of 10 provinces. That as information was before us. But also, Mr. Osike, I was the representative of the party in the Zimbabwe Election Commission. And my contribution at the Zimbabwe Election Commission is actually documented. It's part of that documentary as an episode where I am fairly representing the party, where I am advising the party, the Zimbabwe Election Commission about what my party stood for. And then there is a scene where we go for a demonstration, and yes, at that demonstration, Advocate Chamisa calls me to explain why we were going for that demonstration. Now, what you may not know is that that demonstration was my brainchild, because I thought it would force the Election Commission, as well as ZANU-PF, into some form of reform mode. I explained to the crowd what the reason for the demonstration is, as well as the electoral reforms that were not fulfilled. And then the last episode that you see is where we are in the standing committee, and Nelson Chamisa asks me to report to the standing committee. Now, it may not have been obvious to you or obvious to the viewers. Before you go to the National Standing Committee, you brief the president, especially if you are a representative of the party into an outside body. You brief the president before you go to the standing committee. You put them in the know. So I had explained to Nelson Chamisa that there was not going to be any movement, as far as we knew, on ZEC on the area of reform. Kubani Moyo had already told us that there was not going to be any movement. But that the intelligence that we had was that these people were trying to force us to abandon the election, to boycott the election. And Nelson then, of course, told me that I should make my report to the greater committee, which I did very, very faithfully, regarding exactly what we did not get. I explained that to the meeting, and then Nelson Chamisa said, "What is your recommendation?" And if you really go to that clip, you will see that I said our recommendation is, not my recommendation is. And our recommendation is now coming from all the representatives that were in the Zimbabwe Election Commission, all the members of the standing committee. Our collective position to the president was. And I then told him that we think that ZANU-PF wants us to boycott the election. They are afraid of competition, and we think that we should go ahead. And you will see from that clip that it is a unanimous view. A unanimous view by all members of the standing committee. You hear Morgan Komichi there, Jameson Timber, Tendai BT, Walshman, they all concur that we should go ahead. After which, Nelson Chamisa summarizes in that video that this is a collective decision. And then they go to the press conference and he confronts the press and he tells them that we are proceeding. So there is no misleading that I did as an individual and that I did purposely on him. He was very much willing to go for the election. And I thought that that bit did not come out in the subsequent video. That was in a form of a commentary that was made by your television. It was to the effect that it was Douglas Mwonzora who misled Nelson Chamisa, as if Nelson Chamisa is a man without his own brain, as if that decision was entirely my own decision as an individual. And I felt that it's because I am now leading a different political party to the party that Mr. Chamisa is leading. But history is history. We went into this together. I wanted him to win. And in fact, before the election and before that video, we had Changra's funeral, where I was almost bent in a heart by people sympathetic to Advocate Chamisa. I had put that behind me because I wanted my party to win. And I offered myself to go and campaign in Manicaland. And we gave each other provinces. People were supposed to go to provinces where they came from and bring the vote home. I brought the vote home. Manicaland is the only rural province where Nelson Chamisa had clear win over Mnangagwa, even according to the ZEC figures. And the person who was leading that campaign was myself. And we in Manicaland brought the vote home, but in their own area in Machingo, they did not do so well against President Mnangagwa. And they did not bring the vote as it were. So I felt that I was portrayed as a person who was unfaithful to the cause, who was stabbing somebody at the back. I did no such thing. I wanted to win.
All right. Maybe let's go back to that, Mr. Mwonzora. You said you presented this to the standing team and you have mentioned the leaders that were there at that time. But you had a report from an independent panel of Afrobarometer saying that Nelson Chamisa was not going to win this election. This is a report that, this is an independent organization that you in the opposition are always clamoring for, to say we want an independent auditor to audit beat the voters roll so that we know that there is transparency. This is an organization that brought these figures. It was available to everyone. Why were you then for the idea that Nelson Chamisa was going to win, despite these figures being presented that Nelson Chamisa was not going to win this election? And you rightfully say so that you were part of the team, but weren't these people answering to you? Were you not the one with the final decision? Because in that clip, where you were talking to Mr. Kubani Moyo at, I think it was at the ZEC press conference, and ZANU-PF walked away. Were you then now convinced that even ZANU-PF, even when they were walking away, showing that they were happy with what ZEC was doing, why were you for the idea that it was a walk in the park for Nelson Chamisa to win this election, or for the party to win the election, when the numbers were against you?
Well, first of all, it is not only Douglas Mwonzora who was in possession of the Afrobarometer report. Nelson Chamisa had it, Ndaibiti had it, Wolfman Ngube had it, Morgan Komichi had it. Everybody had it. Zimbabwe had the Afrobarometer report. But as you no doubt appreciate, these reports are compiled from data which is procured months before the report is published, and circumstances do change. I think we had made significant inroads into the country by way of the based on the crowd that we were pulling, and it was possible in our view that we had gained ground, and we thought we had gained ground. Again, to portray me as the only person who had that information is again wrong. Everybody had that information. And when I went to the Zimbabwe Election Commission, yes, Mangwana, the two Mangwana walked out. That is Ndabagi Mangwana and his brother Paul. They walked out. And they walked out in protest, and they were saying that we were unfairly accusing ZANU-PF. And if you remember from that clip, when Honorable Mangwana was saying, don't accuse us, we have nothing to do with ZEC, I actually shouted that they were the beneficiaries. That is, ZANU-PF was the beneficiary. So with all that information, we also had, on top of that information, we also had intelligence. We also had research from the party, which was done by the technocrats of the party, which showed that our probability of winning was very, very high. We are not totally wrong if you look at it properly, because the gap between Nelson Chamisa and Emerson Mnangagwa was not that big. I think it was 300,000 votes. That's not a lot of votes when you really look into it, and when you put other factors in consideration. There are many things that cost us this election, one of which was that as we were going further into the election, Advocate Chamisa started sidelining the senior leaders of the party, people like Bidi, people like myself, people like Komichi, people like Mzuri, and he preferred a team. He preferred to work with some people, and some of these were from G40. And this accepted a lot of energy from people, but not necessarily from myself, because I continued campaigning in Manicaland, and I brought the vote home. I brought the vote home, I brought victory home. And had it not been for parallel candidates, in Manicaland, we would have won 14 seats out of 26 seats. We ended up winning 7 seats. We also ended up winning quite a lot of councillors, and we won 50% of the senators in Manicaland, 50% of the women proportional representation in Manicaland. And to be fair with myself, I was leading the province, and I brought the vote home.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with Mr. Douglas Mwonzora, the MDC-T president, talking to us about the election of 2018, what went wrong, what is it that caused the opposition, which he was part of the organizing under the banner of Nelson Chamisa, under the MDC Alliance, what went wrong. And we, as JCTV Africa, we made a comment, and he is replying to that comment. Maybe let's step aside a little bit and focus on that, but it's in the same vein of thought. You are you are saying that these things went wrong and the leadership, they were sidelining and that all that was happening. Recently, in the 2022 elections, your party MDC-T did not do well. In fact, you could not retain the seats that you had gone. And in one of the interviews that you had, I think it was on ZTN, you said that there was a strategy that we did not, that went wrong. And my question to you probably is, this happened in 2018. You had a litmus test in 2022 to check if you are ready for 2023. Do you think that you are the best, you were the best strategist then in 2018 to run that ship that Nelson Chamisa had? Or are you still the best man to run the MDC-T party so that they can defeat ZANU-PF? Do you think that you have that capacity as an individual who is still at the forefront of the election?
Well, Mr. Rusike, Nelson Mandela says, a saint is a sinner who keeps on trying. All these people that you see, all these success stories that you see, yet endured a failure at one point in time. Obama did not start with success. Robert Mugabe did not start with success, ended up being the president of Zimbabwe. In fact, Robert Mugabe lost at Congress in Gweru. I don't know which, I don't remember which year it was. And the current president, Emerson Mnangagwa, actually lost it twice to Blessing Mbundo, who was contesting him in Kwekwe. So it is not true that when people don't do well, they will always keep on failing. A saint is a sinner who keeps on trying. What is important in politics is for you to learn from your mistakes and correct them. We made a couple of mistakes in 2013. And in 2018, we sought to correct those mistakes. And one of the corrections that we did in 2013 was the insistence on the biometric voter registration system. This is something that I insisted on as the representative of the MDC in the high-level political platform, which was a platform of all political parties in parliament, a plus Z. And that platform, we negotiated for the biometric voter registration system, which made cheating a bit more difficult than in 2013. No wonder why. If you look at 2018, our votes were good. Our votes were not that bad. So we did procure some reforms. Now come to 2022. We made strategic blunders as the MDC of assuming that the structures that we had were still there and were still faithful and were still intact. And we used the old strategy by the MDC of campaigning using structures. And we discovered after the election that some of the structures were not there, that some of the structures had gone to CCC and so on. We've since taken over corrective action. We've taken corrective action. And right now, if you go to our meetings, to our video clips of our meetings, you will find that we are attracting quite a lot of people. If you look at the social media, where we were unwanted a year ago, it's no longer the same. So we have taken corrective action. Now, who is needed at this point in time is a leader who doesn't give up, is a leader who keeps on improving himself, is a leader who takes corrective action. I never denied that we not do well in 2022. But as I always say, the fact that we did not do well in 2022 does not mean that we will do bad in 2023. We have to take corrective action. The fact that the CCC won in 2022 does not mean that it is going to win in 2023. And here I want to refer to the famous philosophy by Garry Kasparov, the chess champion. He said there is something called the burden of past victory. There is a tendency of people who have won something to always believe that they will win again, and they don't put effort. As you will appreciate, there are a number of problems that did not exist in 2022 that now exist in 2023 as far as the CCC is concerned. There is a lot of discord there. If you look at the conversation between Honorable Tendai Biti and Advocate Mahere, very unhealthy conversation. If you look at the country selection, I think we may have more or less similar problems of candidate selection, but we are going to have a lot of problems re-candidate selection. So what was obtaining in 2022 is not necessarily what we obtained in 2023. In 2022, the number of people we were addressing at our meetings was very, very small, and 100 people, 50 people. Right now, I am addressing not less than 1,500 people. In a meeting that we had in Bubi, we had about 5,000 people. In Nyanga, we had about 4,500 people, and so on. Because our message is appealing, because we have corrected ourselves, and history will show that we have improved. And I know that MDC is going to do much better than other political parties.
Thank you so much, sir. As we continue this conversation, you are also welcome to be part of this conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm in conversation with Mr. Douglas T. Mwonzora, the MDC-T president, looking into 2023 in retrospect of the 2018 elections that was held 5 years ago. Maybe I would like to pick your brain a little bit, say, now you are talking about numbers, building up in the MDC-T, and you are saying that you are confident that there is some ground that you are covering in comparison to what happened in 2022. Are you confident that this coming election, you can get the mandate from the people of Zimbabwe to be their president come 23 August, looking at your mistakes that you've made in the past and the current outfit of opposition of CCC? Do you think that you can retain some pride, or you can retain some seats, or even get the mandate of being the ruling party come 23 August?
We will definitely get the mandate. We will definitely get 66% of the vote, as I have always said. This is because our strategy is working. This is because we have a superior message, superior to ZANU-PF, superior to CCC. ZANU-PF's message is and it ends there. The CCC message is change is coming, and God is in it. That is their message. But the message of the MDC is what it is going to do to the people of Zimbabwe. Number one, free education. Number two, free maternity health care. Number four, free health care. Number five, interest-free loans for youngsters and women who want to start business, offering also incubation services to those people who want to start business. We offer subsidy to agricultural inputs to slash the prices of the inputs, so on. So we have a superior message, and we have tested this message with rural communities, and it is selling like hotcakes. That is why I am now always getting invited, even by village head, to come and speak to the people. I am preaching, we were preaching the politics of rational disputation, with the politics of hate. Zimbabweans tired of fighting. Zimbabweans are tired of hatred. both ZANU-PF and CCC use hate. ZANU-PF uses hate on whoever is its opponent. The CCC dealing with our outfit, our political party. The Zimbabweans think that that is anachronistic now. So this country needs a president like me, needs a president who doesn't give up, needs a president who is not driven by hate, needs a president who does not cut corners, needs a president who is the principle and pursues what he thinks is right. This is what Zimbabwe needs. I think I answer to that description.
We are in conversation with Mr. Douglas Togarase Mwonzora. We are talking to him concerning the 2023 elections, and you are coming with that statement that you are not subscribing to confrontational politics. And looking at maybe history since ZANU-PF came to power in 1980, can you say that this kind of like rational politics of debate whereby you talk, is this something that ZANU-PF understands, looking at the likes of Nkomo, who was swallowed when he was leading ZAPU, and you look at Morgan Tsvangirai during your time in the government of national unity as the MDC-T, that kind of like weakened you in your time. Do you think that coming with this approach is going to phase ZANU-PF into something that they can relinquish power to you, or to for you to be able to implement some of the policies that you are articulating now to the people of Zimbabwe? Do you think that there is something, is there something different from what these other leaders did that came before you?
Well, first of all, I did not say that we should not resort to confrontation. In fact, if you go to the video that we were talking about, I confronted ZEC right there at ZEC offices. In that clip, I confronted them. And then we had a demonstration together with my colleagues in the United MDC. That was a form of confrontation. A few weeks ago, I was in court taking the ZEC government to court over the delimitation report. That was confrontation in a court of law. So we never said that confrontation must not happen. What we don't subscribe to is the politics of hate. Even in that confrontation, we are urging Zimbabweans to listen to one another. Because the typical political conversation, political dialogue in Zimbabwe is a conversation of the deaf. But we have never ruled out confrontation. In a few days' time, we are taking to the streets demanding free elections. The MDC is having a demonstration for a particular issue, and that particular issue is a free and fair elections. And we're also going to be touching in that demonstration on the fees that the MPs are being asked to pay, and the other candidates as well. So we have not just on a confrontation, but we are also saying that within our politics, there must be a certain civility. I must be able to talk to Advocate CHAMISA without any problem. I must be able to talk to Mr. Mnangagwa without any problem at all. And I must be able to converse with any Zimbabwean on any issue without being called names. What has since happened in Zimbabwe is that there has been extremism, polarization. People who don't even listen, who don't even want to listen to anybody because he is not from their party. For example, I took the government to court. And what did the CCC, my colleagues within the opposition did? They sent a lawyer to thwart my application, to make sure that my application did not succeed. That was very, very wrong. They spoke against it. They portrayed me as a person who did not want elections to take place. Now, they are taking the same government to court over the voters law. What is the difference? It is the same. I wanted the delimitation report to be right, and they wanted the voters law to be correct, and we are both right, but it was a conversation of the deaf. Under rational disputation, we will be listening to one another and appreciating, even in our difference, each other's point. So Zimbabwe, yes, Zimbabwe needs a rational leader. Zimbabwe needs an emotional leader. Zimbabwe needs a leader who is mature, and I think I answered that description.
You have said that your party, under your leadership, is not going to engage in violence, or you are, as you are putting it through, that you are going to have rational disputation. But in 2021, one of your leaders that has been recently elected, Yvonne Msarurwa, manhandled a man who wanted to do a press conference at the media center, and he was assaulted, and he was not able to do his press conference. And you could see one of the leader, Yvonne Msarurwa, who was once in jail, and she is now part of your leadership. She is leading that charge. What you say, what is your difference between your party and ZANU-PF if you are also subscribing to what ZANU-PF does? They interfere for press conferences, and they do that. That man wanted to do a press conference about his grievances. What is your difference between you and ZANU-PF if you are saying you are doing rational disputation, and you cannot allow one of your people in your leadership to air their grievance? How do you answer to that?
Well, first of all, say Yvonne never got involved in violence against Mr. Mashumba. That is not correct. And in fact, a video is there. A video was recorded of the discourse between Yvonne Msarurwa and Kudzai Mashumba. Now, the background of that press conference is that Mr. Mashumba had advertised that press conference, and he had misrepresented that this was an MDC press conference, and that senior leadership of the MDC were going to address the press conference. In fact, I think Senator Komichi, and even myself, to the people who were going to address the conference. It was false. It was fraudulent misrepresentation. And a press conference was going to take place in our name, and yet it was not our press conference. And yes, our youth stopped the press conference, but they never assaulted him. In fact, if you go to the clip, you will hear Yvonne's voice where she is saying that Mashumba should not be assaulted, should not be manhandled. That was Yvonne in that clip saying that please don't assault him. But if you look at the other guy, he confronts Mr. Mashumba to say, you are lying. You are lying that this is an MDC press conference, and it is not an MDC press conference. Mr. Mashumba had already been fired from the MDC. He had been fired for drunkenness. There is a video where he is drunk and he's saying a lot of bad things about Dr. Kupe, actually, who he was aide to. And we fired him. And he was not in office, you say. He was a member of staff, a member of the security who talks while drunk and records a video when he was drunk talking about sexual issues of senior leadership. He was no longer a member, he was fired. And if a fired person comes and tries to do a press conference in your name, you must stop him. But he was not assaulted. So rational disputation does not mean foolishness, does not mean weakness, where, for example, somebody comes to harvest a house, tries to set it on fire, and then we say we won't take corrective action because there's rational disputation. That's misunderstanding the term, actually.
All right, Ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to send us your thoughts on WhatsApp. And if you have got a question for Mr. Douglas Mwonzora about the topic that we are talking about, or anything that is related to the elections 2023, you are also welcome to send your thoughts on WhatsApp, and we can send the message to the question to Mr. Douglas Mwonzora. I'm reading some of your comments. There is a comment here by Mr. Jax Mureri, and he is saying that Mr. Mwonzora, stop misleading people. Who do you think will vote for you and get 66%? Your chances of winning one parliamentary seat is next to zero. Let me maybe find something again before we check if there's something on our WhatsApp. Okay, there is Erisha M is saying, Mr. Mwonzora, you're dreaming. I think is smoking high grade, what. But anyway, what do you have to say about people that are saying to you, you won't be
Please
able...
don't summarize the question. Say, because the questions are clear.
Yeah.
They are abusive. Don't sugarcoat them. They are abusive. This is abuse. Somebody says I'm smoking dagger, and somebody says you are misleading people because you will have zero. When did I have 0 votes in 2023? How does he know? Where did he do the statistics? This is the work of haters, and they do not deserve respect. So there is no question of substance there. There is simple abuse. And this is what I'm talking about. When people confronted with the truth, and the truth here is whether or not I misled Nelson Chamisa, their leader. And now that the truth is out, they resort to insults, and they resort to name calling, and they resort to all this kind of very immature communication.
All right. Maybe it probably could be one of my last questions to you, Mr. Mwonzora. You in the opposition, and there are other players in the opposition that are there. Do you think that if given the opportunity to really form a formidable force that can dislodge ZANU-PF from power, do you have any players that you can say, I'm willing to have a conversation, so probably you can have a coalition or an alliance like what you had in 2018, so that you can really form a formidable force against ZANU-PF? Yes, the date of election has not yet has been announced, but the candidates or that has been submitted to ZEC is still yet to be done. Do you think that there is a room for that, or a window for that, for you to form a coalition as the opposition, so that you can say, ZANU-PF, pack your bags and leave, we are coming, and practice the politics that you're talking about?
Oh, yes, of course. In fact, we are in conversation with some political parties. We have always said, as the MDC, that the MDC welcomes the unity of all progressive forces in fighting the dictatorship, in fighting the economic mismanagement by ZANU-PF. So, yes, we have done it before, we can do it again. But the unity of progressive forces must be based on certain fundamentalities. It must be based on mutual respect, principle, and it must be based on a common vision. So those political parties with which we have a common vision, with which, of course, we have mutual respect, we are willing to work with, and we have not refused any gesture from any political party. But here is the brutal truth, is that if you are going to demonize Mr. Mwonzora, and then think that tomorrow you want to talk to him, you are going to demonize the MDC, and then you want to talk to him the next morning, or to send trolls on a platform like this to accuse a leader serious as myself, or who has come to this platform to inform Zimbabweans of smoking marijuana, that is not going to be very conducive to any discussions that we can have. But of course, I'm not at liberty at this point in time to divulge the groups that we are talking to, but we have 4 or 5 political groups that we are talking to. We respect every Zimbabwean, and the difference between the MDC and the other political parties is that the MDC recognizes the right of others to exist, the right of others to hold opinions different from ours. We recognize that. We also recognize under our pluralistic philosophy that there are many interest groups within our society, and that these interest groups are equally important and they have to be respected. That is why we have adopted social democracy as our guiding philosophy, and we are going to lead Zimbabwe through a developmental path of social democracy. Lastly, I want to say, there are people who always want to write political epitaphs of other people. And at this point in time, I want people to understand where I am coming from, why I never give up. In Form 1, I was number 42 out of 42. I did not give up. I ended up a law lecturer at the University of Zimbabwe. My philosophy is that it can be done. In 2014, we squared up with Advocate CHAMISA in the race for Secretary General of the MDC. And he had 11 nominations out of 12, and I had 1 nomination out of 12. We went and squared up. I did not give up. We squared up at that Congress, and I won by 859 votes. Ipso facto, I am a leader of a party that did not win a single seat in the by-elections of last year. I believe, and I think there is historic evidence that we can circumvent that adversity and actually go to pole position. The point is that it is possible. You need a leader in this country who makes believe, who believes, and acts according to the belief. This country, we need to take it from where it is to a world power economically. Zimbabwe can be the economic and commercial hub of the African continent in no time. It needs leaders with that winner mentality, and it needs leaders who don't give up. And I happen to be one of those leaders.
Surely so, Mr. Mwonzora, you are one of those people that, if we look at your resume, you have been in the political space since around 1980s, 89, 88, 89, if I'm not mistaken, maybe correct me
88.
there. 88, exactly. Maybe a parting shot is in that vein of, you were talking that you in the MDC, you are confident that you are going to win. Maybe there are some people that are here on the comment section that are saying, just swallow your pride and join Triple C. Maybe my question would be, have you ever heard it?
Why should I join Triple C? Why should I join an outfit that is worse than what I'm leading? My political party has held, in the space of 2-3 years, it held 2 congresses. When we want to get leadership within the MDC, we go to Congress and we vote for each other for that Congress. We believe that we must have structures. In the MDC structures, I was telling you already that I was consulting my national executive today about what we should do. That is the corporate governance that is needed in political parties. And when we go to candidate selection, it is not the man or the woman that I prefer who should be the candidate. It should be the choice of the people. It should be the choice of the party. And that is the democratic practice. That is my party. Why should I join another party which does not even have that, which has not held its Congress, which is not going to hold this Congress in the near future, and which does not have structures where everybody is the same. The whole party has only 3 people who have designations. That is the president, the spokesperson, Mahere, and the deputy spokesperson, Otalos. And you end that. That practice is foreign to me. And I don't think that I should join the CCC. The CCC must join the MDC. There's nothing to learn.
All right. Let me put it to you there. I was about to come to with another question to say, you lose this coming election as the MDC-T. CCC loses this election, and ZANU-PF becomes the outright winner. It means that this is a loss for you as the MDC, as the opposition. You are sitting on the opposition benches, but you have lost to ZANU-PF, and they can make policies and they can dictate how the country is going to be run. My question is what is the way forward after you have lost and the CCC have lost? What about the people that have had hope for you when you were still in the National Constitutional Assembly? Some of them, they are now in their 50s now. They were in their 20s back then when you started. What can you say to somebody that has been a prisoner of hope from then, and now you still can't deliver to them a Zimbabwe that they want, that follows constitutionalism, and that is not still ruled by ZANU-PF? What do you have to say to someone that is going to be hopeless come 23 July, 24 July, 24 August, and nothing that you are promising them that there is going to be win for MDC or CCC? What are you going to tell them?
Well, Mr. Muske, you can actually go on and on, but the question has been understood. And you are saying that come 24 August 2023, my simple response to you: why should I budget for failure? Why should I think of an adverse situation when we are concentrating winning? We have no time to think about this failure that you are trying to implant in our brain. It doesn't exist. At this point in time, we must adopt the Chinese philosophy: fight 100 battles and win 100 victories. I am priming my people for a win. It is in the grasp of this opposition in the election. Look at the inflation that is there in the country. Look at the disunity that is there in we have budget else but a total victory. And as I have said, we are going to win this election by 66%. I'm not the only person we have made predictions which have come true. But I should also advise you that at the beginning of this year, I addressed a meeting of the MDC where I told them that this is the year of the comeback, and that the MDC is going to make one of the most dramatic political comebacks ever in the history of our country. And I'm glad that you are going to witness it, you are going to live to see it. The history is unfolding.
All right, Mr. Mwonzora, maybe as we, I'm saying maybe for the last time that we are closing, but there are some questions that are coming through from the people, and they are kind of like reiterating what I'm saying, what I'm asking. As you're on your personal capacity, are you still in conversation with some of the people that you allegedly have cut ties with on the political space, like the likes of Mr. Nelson CHAMISA, the likes of Tendai Biti, and Dr. Thokozani Kupe? are you still in conversation, or is there still room for you to maybe come back together and say, let bygones be bygones, we can still work together? What is your condition of you probably accepting them, or maybe them accepting you? What is your condition?
The truth is that we are not in conversation. We are not in conversation because they are spreading hate language. They send people to media day in, day out to denigrate the person of Douglas Mwonzora when they really know who I am. I have worked with this gentlemen and ladies for years, and we know one another, and they know that I have nothing to do with ZANU-PF. They know that I am not a man who will be forced by someone to do something that he doesn't believe in. They know that. They know that I stand by principle. They know that. But they have been trying to misrepresent me, the people of Zimbabwe. I have not answered back with adversity towards them, and I have not. You say I should keep contact with them. I think they should keep contact with me. Why should it not be the other way around, especially where they are, in this case, where they are the aggressors? Why shouldn't they communicate with the MDC? But to answer the question for the sake of the innocent follower, the innocent opposition person, it would be best if the opposition were to work together. It would be best if people were going to speak with one voice. It makes things easier. But one of the preconditions is that pride must go. And people must learn to appreciate one another. They must learn to respect one another, and so on. We don't enjoy fighting other opposition groups. We think that the main opponent is ZANU-PF. It has mismanaged the economy. There is a lot of corruption. If you look at our economy, it's down. Our Zimbabwean dollar has basically been destroyed by these people. Of course, they call themselves the Second Republic, but in truth, they are a continuation of Robert Mugabe's regime. After all, most of them were senior ministers in Mugabe's cabinet since 1980. There cannot be any renewal that was there in ZANU-PF. If anything, the economy, especially in the last 3 weeks, the economy has been doing much worse. And is actually approaching what it was in 2008. So there is nothing new that will come from ZANU-PF. We need to get rid of that regime. We need to replace it with a sensible, sober regime of people who will waste their time in retribution, who will preoccupy in building this country. That's why we are working on our first 100 days program.
All right. On that note, would like to say, Mr. Mwonzora, thank you so much for coming to the show. I'm seeing some of the comments. Maybe your last parting shot to the people. Maybe some of the comments here. I saw something here. Rodwin Deda is saying that all the parties, including ZANU-PF, must unite and better. That's all. Yeah, but that's my decision. And then you were speaking about the economy. What is your comment on the gold mafia? I think I have not. I meant to. What is your comment on the gold mafia documentary that was released by Al Jazeera? What is your thoughts on that to the people of Zimbabwe that are watching and they want your comment as the opposition leader?
Okay, thank you very much. Before I do that, let me just respond to the comment that the gentleman made, that all parties must come together, including ZANU-PF. And I think his point is very good. He is saying that we must jettison parties and politics and look at what is in the best interest of the Zimbabwean people. Say this is what I've been saying in the last 3 years. And this is basically what is meant by rational disputation, where all parties, irrespective of background, sit together and design what is in the best interest of their people. And I think that that should happen. Maybe some people want it to happen after a fight in the elections, and so on. It remains to be seen. But coming to the issue of the gold mafia, what is very clear in that documentary is that there are shady deals that are taking place regarding around gold, which is one of our biggest foreign currency earners, and one of the commodities that would no doubt revive the economy. What is also very clear is that the revenue from the gold is being enjoyed by very, very few people who have connections with international organized crime. And our view as MDC is that a thorough investigation must be done of the people mentioned. There must be police dockets opened. And these people must be investigated. There are cases to answer for some of these people because they are being mentioned by name and so on, and they need to they owe the people of Zimbabwe an explanation. So the gold mafia underpins our view that tragedy has struck Zimbabwe, where very few people enjoy on behalf of the masses, while our masses languish in abject poverty. The revenue that is supposed to come from gold would have done our economy much, much better. Look at Botswana. They have diamonds, and they pegged their economy on diamonds and made sure that they didn't steal from their own people. There is evidence. There is prima facie evidence that some big people in this country may be stealing from the people of Zimbabwe. Let's say they were misrepresented. They must explain themselves. They must explain their role in those shady deals. It is very, very important. Now,
okay, before Mr. Mwonzora, as the MDC, we have seen here in South Africa, where I am doing this interview from, that the opposition leaders, like the likes of when he was still the DA leader, Mr. Musi Maimane, and the current EFF leader, Mr. Julius Malema, they have opened cases for Jacob Zuma. They've opened cases for the current president, Cyril Ramaphosa. They've opened cases for ministers. What have you done as the opposition? The evidence has been presented, and I would think you, as the opposition, could go there and pull out that evidence and make a police report so that the ZANU-PF will say to you, why are you on the court of public opinion? Why you not take this case to court? What have you done as the opposition to address this issue as the opposition?
Well, first of all, the South African system is a bit different from the system that operates here. Here, where something is being investigated by the police or is being said to be investigated by the police, then you cannot interfere with it. And if you remember, the Minister of Information came out in the press to say that the Zimbabwean authorities were seized with this matter and it was being investigated. And once that happens, one cannot say, I am going to open this matter. After all, that evidence is not in our possession as the MDC, for example. We have no means of knowing the transactions, the illegal transactions, save to see on the Al Jazeera documentary. But most lawyers will tell you that if purposes of securing a criminal conviction, the evidence that appears on Al Jazeera is not enough. The evidence that appears on Al Jazeera is enough to warrant enough to sustain a prosecution on its own. So it's not enough.
All right. That was Mr. Douglas Mwonzora. I see that we are kind of like losing our connection there. Are you still hearing me, Mr. Mwonzora? All right. We seem to have lost Mr. Mwonzora there. We'll try to see if we can just conclude. But that was Mr. Douglas Mwonzora. In conversation with him, thank you. Want to say to him, thank you. Mr. Mwonzora, you are back. You were still talking about the prosecution. You can go ahead with we had lost you a bit.
Yes, I was saying that most lawyers will tell you that the evidence coming on Al Jazeera is not enough to sustain a criminal prosecution. It is enough to initiate an investigation. So we were told that the police are doing that by the government itself, and we are waiting to see what the results of that investigation is going to be. But also, you will see that this crime was happening extraterritorially. If money is being laundered in Dubai, the crime is also happening in Dubai as much as it is happening in Zimbabwe. And we have seen the authorities in Dubai opening any document or taking any action against any person. The South African system is rather different than ours here.
All right. Mr. Mwonzora, I would like to say thank you so much for coming to the show, and you are welcome to come and during this time of campaigning and looking forward to 2023, and we will talk about other issues that are pertaining the 2023 election. But thank you so much for coming after such a short notice, and I really appreciate your time on the program.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Rusike. And once again, I want to thank you for your professionalism to allow somebody who thinks that a publication was unfair the right of reply. I hope that Zimbabweans and people all over who are watching your informed, and I wish your TV success in the future. And I wish you better speedier growth. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate. And that was Mr. Douglas Togarase Mwonzora giving us his thoughts on the issue that is on the topic that is on the screen. Did Douglas Mwonzora mislead CHAMISA in 2018? And those are the answers. And if you are just joining us, you are welcome to watch this video in its entirety from where we started, and you can hear some of the questions that we have. And I'd like to also say shout out to my brother, Pardon Gambakwe, the owner of the channel where we are broadcasting on, for allowing me the opportunity to use his platform as you can see the logo that is on the screen. But all the same, we want to say thank you for being part of this conversation. And if you have got any questions, the numbers is on the screen. If you've got any topic, as I said earlier this past week, that if you have got a topic, if you have like this topic, you are welcome to send us your WhatsApp video. You record the video must not be more than 2 minutes long. Just record it and send it, and give us your thoughts, whether on this topic or other topics that we have covered in this on this channel. But that is the platform that you can bring your thoughts. And I would like to say thank you to everyone that has been commenting. My brother Elisha, Tawanda Mudzi, Jack Mweri, and other people that have been commenting. I see you here. I see Shingirai Trevor. I see you there. I see Rodwinded. Thank you, Professor JB Chulu. Thank you for being part of this conversation. We will continue, and we have lined up a lot of interviews with different political players and other analysts that are going to be part of this show. So brace up for a humdinger of shows that we're going to bring you on this platform. But I want to say thank you to Mr. Mwonzora for coming to the show, and thank you to Mr. Pardon Ngambakwe for allowing me to use your platform. On that note, I would like to say, have yourself a wonderful evening. And this is me, your brother JC, reminding you that rise up, Africa. The world is waiting for you. And bye-bye. I'll see you next time.
Uyo, uko